Hi, podcast listeners. This is your host, Jenna Pecor, and I'm so excited to bring you our episode for today. If you are a first-time listener or a listener who has been with me since day one and you love what I'm doing, I want to encourage you to support the podcast by giving a small donation. I love bringing you new faces and interviews, but it does take time and resources to do it. And any support you'd be willing to give goes towards website upkeep, travel, time, and costs, and would help me greatly to keep doing what I'm doing. Give your support by going to paypal.me/Faces of Grand Prairie. Hello, podcast listeners. I'm Jenna Pecor, and today I'm bringing you an interview with Dr. Vern Alexander. Dr. Alexander is a longtime educator and leader within GPISD who I was honored to get the opportunity to sit down and talk with. He talks with me about receiving his 3 degrees, including his doctorate in education, his experience serving in the Vietnam War, and the many mentors and influencers along his life's journey. Among these influencers in his life, he speaks of being a young man who was inspired by Dr. Martin Luther King at a time when society was changing, and how great men have inspired him towards a lifelong journey, towards always aspiring to be a better man himself. City Councilman Cole Humphreys guest hosts with me on this wonderful episode of the Faces of Grand Prairie podcast with Dr. Vern Alexander. Here we are at the ad building for Grand Prairie ISD, and we are with Dr. Vern Alexander, who is the Deputy Superintendent of Student Services. Welcome.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you had time to meet with us.
It's my pleasure.
Oh, I'm so glad. And I say us because we have a little bit of a special guest today, and this is Cole Humphreys, and he's one of our city councilmen. Say hi,
hello.
Cole.
Hello.
He is going to be here for just a little while, but he has to go run off to Chief Dye is having his retirement party today, so he's going to be leaving us.
Yeah, it'll be a fun deal. They said we had to be there.
Yeah, so it's mandatory.
Mandatory.
Gotcha. Okay, so Dr. Alexander, so you were about to say something about South Grand Prairie High School. So I started at 94. I was a freshman in 94, and I think, did you stop in 93?
I stopped in 94, the summer of 94.
Summer of 94. So
Yes.
You were the principal.
Yes, I was the principal there for 3 years.
For 3 years. So that was right before I got there.
Yes, it was.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, and then you went straight to here after that?
That is correct.
Wow. So I was curious, you have a really, really long educational background. So
Yes.
Where did you start? Like when you graduated, what did you start doing? Were you a teacher first? Were you what were you?
When I graduated from high school, you mean where did I go to college?
Yes.
I went to Jarvis Christian College in Hawkins, Texas. That's in East Texas, between Gladewater and Mineola.
You said Jarvis?
Jarvis Christian
Wow.
College.
Yes.
I enjoyed that. It was a great atmosphere in a
Really?
small college environment, about 600 students.
Wow.
It was great. And I had some excellent young professors. I majored in American history and minored in political science.
Wow. That's very interesting.
Oh, I loved it. Yes. I had my major professor had a doctor's degree, and he was about 25 years old with a doctor's degree from TCU.
Wow.
And so I was able to relate to him really well.
Oh my goodness, wow.
I was Supreme Court Justice of our student court.
Were you
It was
really?
amazing. Yes, I was very active at Jarvis.
Well, that was good for someone with a political science degree.
It certainly was. Certainly was.
So after you graduated college, then where did you go?
I was drafted into the military. It was during the Vietnam War,
Oh my gosh.
and I was stationed in Fort Bragg, North Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed there until I received my orders for Vietnam. Yes, and I served in Vietnam for a year. And I'm going to say, I enjoyed my assignment. I was I always say I was the right-hand man of the battalion commander. He was a lieutenant colonel, and he and I had an excellent relationship. I was the only person in the battalion that could type a letter without making a single mistake. Oh. So he wanted me to be in the office with him so I could take care of his communication during that particular time. I did not have to be on guard duty out, but I volunteered to go out anyway, which is...
Isn't it funny how our skill sets sometimes can come in really handy for different reasons?
It certainly did. I never realized when I was taking typing in high school. I went to Dalworth High School,
Mm-hmm.
and I never thought that I would be using that skill in a war zone.
No, not
Yes.
at all. I wouldn't even guess that would be something, but it makes sense why it would be nice to know how to do it.
It was nice. I was very fortunate. I received the Vietnamese Service Medal, the Army Accommodation, and the Bronze Star while I was in so
I just want to comment that among the history that I knew Dr. Alexander had and could share with us, none of it included a military career.
Me neither. I did not know that.
Is that right?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So after you got out of there, where did you go from that point?
I came home, and I would say the veterans from Vietnam was not welcomed home and received very well in the public. And unfortunately, it was very difficult for a lot of us returning veterans to find employment. And so with the GI Bill, I decided to go back to college. So I went to North Texas State University and majored in history again and political science. And I received my master's degree from there in 1976 that I received my bachelor's degree. Again, I had an outstanding professor. His major interest was Southern history, and so I learned a great deal under his leadership, and enjoyed that experience as well.
Wow.
I often say that my 2 years in Vietnam and my 2 years in the military was just as valuable as my 4 years of graduate work.
I was going to ask you, because I would imagine you seem like the type of person that takes all of your experiences internally to figure out how you're going to use it. So I would imagine that anywhere you're going to be one of those type of people that finds value in how to use it in your regular life.
Yes, I think that all of my experiences have helped me to be a good person. Okay, and I think that was always the goal, is to try to be a better person. I told my wife even this year, I said, honey, my New Year's resolution is to be a better person. Okay, so I think it's always good to work on self-improvement.
Absolutely.
As a matter of fact, when I did my dissertation, I included a chapter about Vietnam, because I had promised my fellow soldiers that I would do that, and I made it a part of my dissertation for my master's degree. So after that, graduating from there, then I started substitute teaching.
Oh.
Okay. And I substitute taught in Dallas, and I substitute taught here in Grand Prairie.
Wow.
And that is the way that I got started in Grand Prairie. Is they saw that I could relate well with the kids.
Right.
And they offered me a job. As a matter of fact, Mr. Buddy Berry. You know Mr. Berry?
That's what we were stuck
principal.
about. Yep.
He was my principal at Grand Prairie High from 97 to 2000.
Mr. Berry probably is the best principal that this school.
Today's nonprofit spotlight is on the GPISD Education Foundation. The foundation works on building a future generation of well-educated adults who are prepared to serve as tomorrow's leaders. The members of the GPISD Education Foundation Board of Directors are committed to harnessing the community's generosity for the benefit of its children. Their goal is to ensure future generations of Grand Prairie ISD students have the best surroundings and resources in which to learn, to express themselves, and to grow as thoughtful and gifted young people. They provide a multitude of educational grants and scholarships to help students in the GPISD be successful in their future goals and have a variety of ways Grand Prairians can get involved in that goal as well. To find out more about the foundation or to learn about how you can be of support, you can visit the GPISD website under the Community tab or find them on Facebook at Grand Prairie ISD Education Foundation.
He was a model principal. If you worked under Mr. Berry, you certainly would learn how to be an effective leader at the campus level.
Right.
He did everything right and certainly gave me my opportunity as a teacher. I taught at Adams for 3 years, and Mr. Berry was assigned to Jackson. Then he had an assistant principal's opening, and I applied for that position. As a matter of fact, when I was a teacher, I would go take on the responsibility of an administrator. I'd help him do cafeteria duty, bus duty. So when he had an opening for an assistant principal, he hired me at Jackson, and we developed a strong bond. I was assistant for him for 3 years at Jackson, and then he was assigned to South Grand Prairie as the principal, and he asked me to accompany him to South Grand Prairie, which I did, and I was glad that I stayed with him because of the relationship that we had developed. Then they decided to switch. Mr. Superintendent Marvin Edwards decided that Marvin Crawford decided that he would switch us. The administration, Grand Prairie High School in South, he flipped them. And so we went to Grand Prairie High School, and the administration at Grand Prairie High School went to South Grand Prairie.
That's an interesting choice.
I want to say, too, that what you just said there is a lesson, and it makes sense coming from an educator about you wanted to be an administrator. You weren't an administrator, but you took on the duties of an administrator.
That's correct.
And guess what? When the opportunity came to be an administrator, you were the first one they looked at.
That is correct.
It's like dress for the job you want to have, right?
That's correct. That is.
It's a great example.
Very much so.
I spent my spare time with doing the duties, and also being in the library studying for my master's degree. And so I did not, and there's nothing wrong with it, but I didn't spend much time in the teacher's lounge.
Well, with my dad being an assistant principal as well, I know that lunch duty is not necessarily something you always want to volunteer to do. That's not the most fun thing in the world.
It's not the most fun thing in the world, but it is a good place to build relationship with students.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And so seeing that, and you can manage your school by being out there with the students, and when they see you there, they will behave more appropriately. It's kind of like when people drive, when they see a police officer's automobile, they automatically slow down. And
it's
so
a training.
Yes, it is.
You're training them how they need to respect you. Yes.
I spent 1 year at Grand Prairie High School as assistant principal under Mr. Berry. After spending 3 at Jackson, 3 at South Grand Prairie, and 1 at Grand Prairie High School. And that's when they informed me that I would be assigned as the principal of Jackson Middle School.
Okay.
Yeah, and that is my comment to them was, who's going to tell Mr. Berry? Because I would. We were that close. Okay?
Wow. When was that you were at Jackson?
Oh God, I think I went to Jackson. I went to Jackson for 2 years. So 89 had to be 90. I think it was 89, 90. I went in the summer of '89 through '91, I believe is what it was.
So you literally just left every school right before I got there because I went into sixth grade at Jackson in '91, because it was I left there 92. So you must have just left, and then right when I get to high school, you were gone again.
I was gone again. That's amazing. When did you graduate?
98.
98.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we barely just missed each other. Let me tell you one of the amazing things is one of my sons graduated from South Grand Prairie when I was assistant at Grand Prairie High School.
Oh.
Okay, and it rained so hard the night of graduation, we thought they were going to move the graduation inside. So my wife and I went to South Grand Prairie thinking that they were going to stop the graduation ceremony. They did not, even in the pouring down rain.
Oh my goodness.
So my wife missed her baby graduating from, you talking about hearing it every day at home? A parent complaint that you're living home with. I'll tell you, that was amazing. Anyway, when I left Jackson, I became the principal at South Grand Prairie. Mm-hmm. So I had been assistant at Jackson, assistant at South Grand Prairie, and I became principal of Jackson and then principal of South Grand Prairie. Wow. That was a blessing because I had already established relationship with the teachers at the campus, and they understood what I was about, and I understood what I needed to do to help them be successful.
Right.
I had a wonderful experience as a building leader. Wonderful.
Really?
Yes.
I'm glad that was the case, because then you went on to. So did you get your doctorate while you were in? That's a good question. I was promoted to here to central office. I believe it was in 1994. And then the opportunity came during David Barbosa's tenure as superintendent. The University of Texas was looking for doctoral candidates. Mm-hmm. And he talked with me and submitted my name. And I was accepted into the doctoral program. There were 17 students in my cohort. Okay. And yes, I'm going to tell you, go ahead. I did not miss a day from work. Yes. So when I asked my dad about, because my dad was David Pecor, he was an assistant principal. Now, I just missed him too, thank goodness. But my sisters were there for 2 more years while he was the assistant principal. But anyway, the first thing he told me was Dr. Alexander got his doctorate degree and drove back and forth.
That's correct.
From Austin back here every week to do this while he was still working. And I don't know why, but for some reason that was he was just so impressed by that, which I am too, because this was before online school. This is before all that. So that took a lot of commitment. Yes,
it does. It's a 3-hour drive.
Oh, my goodness.
I told my wife, I said, I know every bump in the road.
Oh, I bet you do.
We certainly, one of my classes at Austin ended at 10:30 at night.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, and I had to drive from Austin to here, and I got back about 1:30, and I didn't miss a day of work. And I guess this is what's unusual. The only speeding ticket that I got was the day that my dissertation was due. Okay. And my wife and I was driving that dissertation. And I have to say this, I certainly could not have accomplished it without my wife.
I was going to ask you about her. I was going to wait to hear when she came into the picture into your life.
Well, I would tell you that...
and what is her name?
Her name is Velma Alexander.
Velma, okay.
She... I would wake up in the middle of the night and she would be typing on my dissertation. She was so committed to getting the job done that I have to give her the praise for what she was willing to do for me. In fact, she even did it for my master's degree.
Wow.
I would wake her up, and I learned to type now. To remember, but she's better at it than I am. And I would wake her up. Maybe I'd stay up even when I was working on my master's, and I have a paper due, and I'd wake her up in time enough to type my paper so I could drive to Denton for my class. So I drove to Denton as well as going to Austin. I'm gonna tell you, I tore up a Mercedes-Benz driving to Austin
for good reason.
Yeah, for a good reason.
So how long did you do that? Like how long did it take you to be done?
Okay, that's great. I went in the summer of 2000 because Dr. Barbosa allowed me to go to classes during the summer. Mm-hmm. And what I would do is give up all of my vacation time as turning time over, and I would come home and work on weekends during the summer. So all of my vacation time I would come and spend with him, and holidays I would come during the summer. It took me, I went in the summer of 2000, and I marched in May of 2003. Yeah, and worked full time at the administrative level.
And what is your doctorate?
I have a doctorate in education.
Education.
Yeah, it's in education, not history this time. Of the 17 in that cohort, 3 graduated with me.
Wow.
Myself and 2 others graduated during that time.
One of the questions I sent you was because, okay, for those that don't know, when it comes to retirement age for educators, it's your amount of years in service plus your age, correct?
Yes.
And when you start, there's a certain, whatever that number is when you start is what you have to get your full retirement.
Yes.
Which, if you do the math, you're past that.
Way past that.
But listening to your life, I can understand why you're still working, because you've just been such a hard worker your entire life. I don't even know if you could retire. What would you do?
This is very unusual. My father worked at General Motors for 44 years and I believe 11 months. Mm-hmm. He never took a vacation in his entire life.
Wow.
Okay. And out of 44 years, he would receive his vacation pay on a Friday, and he'd put it in the bank, and on Monday morning he'd be back at work.
Oh my
So
word.
he never. I think he missed one day that I can remember of being sick. Now, the way that the school district works, you accumulate sick days, vacation days, you know that, mm-hmm. and you accumulate that over a period of time.
Right.
Okay. I think at this point I probably have 460 days of sick days, personal days, right. Vacation days, because I don't know why people take off. There's no reason. I don't see a reason to take off because we have our Christmas time, which is 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We have our Thanksgiving time, and then we have our spring break.
And it sounds like you enjoy what you're doing. You're not necessarily working. Work is a bad term, right, for what you're doing. If you're not taking any days off, you must really enjoy the process.
I truly do enjoy it. I don't know. I tell people and Mr. Harrison doesn't like for me to say it, but I love it, you know. And he said, and I would always say, oh, how I do love this job. So anyway, I just don't. I feel like maybe they don't, but I feel like they need me, and I need to be here to answer the call. Mm-hmm. Parents, teachers, principals, assistant principals, they call, and when they call, they need help. Mm-hmm. And so I just feel like that I need to be available to help them. And I'm sure one day somebody else is going to be here to help them.
Yeah, but I can relate a little bit. When you're talking, I hear a lot of myself in you. I get a lot of because I do a lot of different things.
Yes,
I'm a
okay.
podcast, I'm a realtor, I do all these things, and everybody goes, why do you do so much? There's just something inside of me that drives me to keep doing stuff. And it's not to do stuff just to do it. It's because I find a value in doing it. And there's something, I'm just like you, like I have to make myself take vacations. I can't, it's not in me to stop. Like I enjoy it. But, occasionally you get burnt out a little bit. You kind of need a little bit of a rejuvenation. But like there's something in you too that's seems to just be in you to continue just to work and to find value in where you are.
I read this. I read this one time, and it says this: "He who starts off behind in the great race of life shall remain behind the man in front of him, unless you run faster than the man in front of you."
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
If you start off behind, then certainly it's your responsibility to catch up. And I just don't, I enjoy studying and reading. I told my wife, I said, honey, before I met you, I slept with my books. I said the first thing that I would do in the morning was read, because I kept my books in the bed with me. And the last thing that I did at night was read. And I told her, I said, before anyone spoke to me at all, I would start reading. And the last thing, if I read at night, then I would have that concentration. And I read, I never see, I saw this Western where it says, a gunslinger said, you always got to have an advantage. How do you get the advantage? And so when I was at North Texas, I started hiding out, studying on Friday night. Everybody else on Friday night, they're gonna go party, they're gonna go to the fraternity, they're gonna go home for the weekend, they're gonna have a good time. So on Friday nights, I would always study. Now Saturday, I would come out. They had no idea what I had done that Friday night.
Wow.
And you always hear, I had a friend, he says something like this, says, to thine own self be true. You can fool everybody else, but you can't fool yourself.
True.
You know whether you're putting in the time and the effort. So it's so rewarding, I think, to be able to help people, and it's rewarding to always strive to be better.
Yes.
Or to get better.
Yes.
So
just on its own account, just because that's just not even to be competitive, but even just for your own self.
That's correct.
Ethically and morally, the right thing to do, if nothing else.
Right.
Hey,
Are you about to have to leave?
Yeah. So I want to say this: sitting in the room, interviewing, and listening to you talk, it's almost like a mythological siren. I gotta leave, and if I feel like if I stick around, I'm gonna miss my appointment. So one, thank you for sharing that, and I hope you can share a little bit more. Thanks for taking the time. It was always a pleasure.
I appreciate that. It's a pleasure. Every time I see you, you have just smile and has a positive attitude.
I want you to know that I love hearing that.
Thank you, sir.
Y'all take
Tell
care.
everybody
Okay.
we said hello.
I will.
Okay.
So, do you feel, because I assumed when I was trying to find out a little bit more about you that you probably had a lot of leaders in your life that helped you, and you talking about your life history, it sounds like you did. Had a
Yes.
lot of really great mentors that kind of helped you along the way. But do you feel like the reading and the work on, do you feel like that went back to when you were a kid? Has that always been the way you are?
I started reading when I was a kid. I developed a love for reading when I was a kid. I did this, I had this idea, and this is the idea. If I studied great men, then maybe I could learn something from their lives that would help me to be a better person. So I would read about George Washington, Abraham Lincoln, George Washington Carver, Benjamin Franklin. I just read about great men, and I felt like that would put me in the right direction. My mother would not allow anybody to bother me when I was reading, even my dad.
Wow.
She allowed me to sit on the front porch and allowed me to read. She would not let even my friends come to my house if I was reading. And she was everything to me.
Wow.
She helped me to be the person that I am.
Now, do you have any siblings?
Yes, I do.
You do?
Yes,
okay.
I do. I have 2 brothers and 2 sisters.
Okay.
I have an older brother, an older sister, and a younger brother and a younger sister.
So you're right in the middle.
Yeah, I'm right in the middle, but I was mama's boy.
Were you?
Yeah. And we all knew and we understood that.
Mm-hmm. Sounded like education was important to her.
Yes,
Yeah.
it certainly was.
Mm-hmm.
Certainly, when I grew up, I have to say that, and I say, certainly Martin Luther King, I watched him.
Mm-hmm.
I read everything about Martin Luther King, everything that was written about him and everything he wrote. I read it.
So to put a little bit of years on this, you graduated from high school in 64?
Graduated high school in 64.
Okay, so that kind of puts a little bit of like how old you were when he was influential.
That's
and
correct.
kind of that kind
That's
of thing.
correct.
So,
Certainly, Mr. Daniels,
mm-hmm.
as my high school principal, was a great model for how to be an administrator.
Right.
He was always business-like,
Mm-hmm.
always focused on business, and all of the teachers had a great deal of respect for Mr. Daniels.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing
David
that,
Daniels.
yeah, David
Yes.
Daniels,
Mm-hmm.
and seeing Mr. Daniels and the way he carried himself and how he demanded
Mm-hmm.
that we do the right thing. Let me tell you
Yes.
one thing about Mr. Daniels. When we were in high school, if an opposing team came to our gym and somebody went to the free throw line, you see on TV now how they make noises and jump up and down. You better not make a sound.
Wow.
That was the respect that he demanded that we give to the visiting team.
Wow.
We did not say one word.
Wow.
To him, respect was more important than winning.
Yes, I read a lot of articles. I started reading a lot of articles through newspapers.com. So they have a lot of digitized newspapers online, and one of the things is they have the Grand Prairie Daily Texan, which was our newspaper.
Yes.
And it started in 33. I think they have the editions from 33 all the way up until like 79.
Okay.
There's more than that, but that's what they have on this particular site. And every article that I read about Mr. Daniels talked about that. You could see it in the way people wrote about him and the things that he said, that he demanded not just respect for people, but from people at the same time, from what I could gather.
Yes.
And he just sounded like such an amazing person to know.
And indeed he was. The entire community respected Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels was the leader of the African American community at the time that I grew up. There was no one in the community that was respected more than Mr. David Daniels.
I can imagine. And even after he was no longer working in education, I saw him in articles about, we've asked Mr. Daniels to run for this office. We've asked Mr. Daniels to serve on this board and all that.
Correct.
So
That's correct.
I don't know when he passed away, but all the way up until the end of the editions that I read, they were just talking about that.
Yes. He lived on the main street right down. It was called Sherman Street now. I think it's called David E. Robertson now. But anyway, he lived on that corner, and the school was right behind his house. And he was always there, and he was just an excellent person for all of the kids in the community. So, and now, we have the David. Yes, and so David Daniels, certainly he was deserving of that kind of accolades because because of the type of person and the type of leader that he was.
Right. So that kind of helps me to understand what has driven you in your career thus far, because it sounds like you had a father that modeled really hard work.
That's correct.
You had a mother that encouraged it.
That's correct.
You had principals and mentors that encouraged it, which also helps me to understand why your attitude is the way that it is with people that are underneath you. You find it to be very important to be a good mentor to them.
It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you should always be willing to help someone, and you should always live in a way that it speaks volume about who you are,
right,
and what you stand for.
So your wife, when did you meet her?
Oh Lord, seems like it's been so long. We met. Our anniversary is the 30th of this month. It will be 42 years on the 30th of this month. One year I forgot our anniversary, and luckily she forgot it also. So I was lucky that time. I won't forget it again. But certainly I went to school with two of her brothers.
Oh, okay.
We played football together. I was on the football team. In fact, I was co-captain of the football team.
Okay.
Her brother's name is John Pruitt, and the other one is Perry Pruitt.
Mm-hmm.
Perry, we all played together. Perry and I went...
Was this in high school?
This is in high school. Okay. Perry... This is her younger brother. Went to North Texas State when I was working on my master's degree. He was at undergraduate school, and this is amazing. His best friend is Mean Joe Green. They were at North Texas together, and my wife loves football. I think because of her brother, Perry was drafted by the New England Patriots.
Wow.
Okay, and Joe Green was drafted by. Come on, Bear. I gotta think who he played for. Anyway, Joe Green was his best friend, and they both were drafted and went to the pros. My wife and I well, let's say this. I would see her in high school, and that's amazing because I was interested in her, but I don't think she wouldn't give me didn't give me attention. Which is
because if I'm doing the math, that means that you guys knew each other, but y'all weren't married for a while after you.
That's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. Because I went away. And my wife went to the military. My wife went to the Army, and she served in the Army probably for 8 or 10 years. And then
she volunteered.
She volunteered.
Wow.
She volunteered. We weren't married at the time.
Is she your same age?
She's a little older than I am.
Okay. So y'all were going right around the same time.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And so anyway, we got married when I was substitute teaching. Okay?
Oh, wow.
Yes. Now, I didn't tell you.
So how'd you finally win her over?
I can't tell you exactly what it was.
Obviously, you still had connections with each other occasionally.
Yes.
Y'all had come back and...
Yeah, we both came back.
Okay.
And I don't think she still didn't pay me any attention for a while. Okay. It took a lot of work to get there, but eventually she did notice me, and we have 3 boys, and one of them was murdered. It was my baby boy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And he has twins. And they live with me, okay?
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I raised them. Now they're 26.
Wow.
Yeah, they are wonderful, okay? Yeah, Keith and Kenneth, they are very, very warm. I remember when they were little, they used to, I'd open the door and they would scream, "Papa," and come running. And that was music to my ears.
I bet.
Now that they're 26, they don't open the door. They don't say "Papa" and come running. But certainly, we spent a lot of time together. Because I guess because a lot of people say I baby them, they say they're grown, but at the same time, they are such good young men.
Right.
I'll tell you also that my wife served in the Navy. After she got out of the Army, she volunteered for the Navy.
Wow.
And then after she got out, the Navy, by the time she was in the Navy, we were married. And so we had a home here and a home in Amarillo because she was stationed in Amarillo.
Okay.
And the boys went between the both of us. And finally we decided that somebody
had to give something up.
That's correct. So who's going to give up their job? Am I going to give up my job and move to Amarillo, or is she going to give her job up and move back here to Grand Prairie?
I guess we know who we figured out who did that. I was going to ask you, because I am the daughter of an administrator, and I know how intensive in time it can be. You know, you have a lot of extra things. Yes.
I appreciate that.
And so one of the questions that I sent over for you was, how did you juggle all that? And it sounds like your wife has assisted you a lot with things that you were doing. But now that you're kind of talking about it.
She did. She assisted me. She helps me with everything that I do. So, but it's a tremendous challenge and a tremendous sacrifice.
Yes, it is.
With the hours that you have to put in to be a school administrator.
Yes. People don't realize.
No.
Somebody has to be in the building when they have meetings. Somebody has to be in the building when they have basketball games and all those things.
That is correct.
It's hard.
That's correct.
Yeah.
It is so much of a sacrifice for the family. And I get one of the things that really helped me is when my grandboys came along, they would say, "Papa, please try to come home early." And so when they would say that, then I would try to get home with them.
Right.
And I'm sure your dad the same way.
Yeah.
What you try to do is the time that you have with your family is that you go out as a family and do things together.
Yes.
Okay. That's what we do as a family. We probably eat too much, but we spend a lot of time.
Don't we all?
Yeah. We spend a lot of time going out to eat together. And what we do is, this is unfortunate, most people tell me that, Friday night is Friday night date night at the football game.
Oh,
so,
right.
Yeah, so the family.
Right.
In fact, we have reserved seats for the four of us.
Wow.
Okay, and we spend our time there on Friday nights. And my wife don't cook on Friday night, so we eat from the concession stand. That's our meal.
That's a treat.
Yes, on Friday night. So that is really, you look for ways to do things with your family, and you have such value, place such value on the time that when you are together, okay, that you do those things together. Go to church together, and just having your family there, watching TV together. And it certainly does help that my wife enjoys athletics as much as I do.
Right.
Yeah. And
so my mom was a teacher, and then my dad was an administrator. Towards the end, he was a coach before that, but he actually gave up coaching because that's even more of a strain.
Yes.
So, and you travel, and you have to, there's a lot of times that you would move from school to school, so he gave that up. But one of the benefits of having parents in education is that you do have the Christmas holiday, you have the Thanksgiving, and so. But as an administrator, you stay later than when the teachers get out for summer, and you go back earlier than they go back. Yeah. But there was always a period of time where we were all off together, and I remember we would go on long trips, and it would be driving trips.
Yes.
And we could leave for two weeks at a time and go on a vacation together. So I remember always seeing my parents for Christmas, always seeing my parents for Thanksgiving, and we would take vacations together a lot. And my parents my dad had to give up a lot of his sick days when he retired too, because he's just one of those type of people like yourself. You don't use all those sick days.
Right.
So they, so that was important for our family to have that time together. So.
And you're right, that's what we have done together, is we took vacations together, and that was very meaningful for us. Stopping, eating at different places. Our plan this summer is to go to Vegas together.
Oh, fun!
We'll probably rent an SUV, and then the four of us will travel to Vegas. We went to Colorado, and we get rooms, and that's one of the other things is. I would always take them with me when I would go to Austin for different conferences, and I would pay extra for my boys and extra for my wife so that they could be there with me during the time that I was at a conference. But they had to remind me that wasn't a vacation time because I was having to attend meetings, and it wasn't. So I enjoy traveling with them when I am not taking care of business.
Because there's trips and then there's vacations.
That's correct.
Right.
That's correct. So we enjoy that. We've been to Washington D.C. We went to Atlanta for.
Why am I not surprised since you've been in history?
Yes. We have to go to battlegrounds when we are traveling, and we went to the First Bank of the United States. We went to Martin Luther King Center, and we went to his house that he grew up in. We went to Philadelphia to the Benjamin Franklin Museum. We had to go to the Alamo, and it's important to us just to travel and to do things together. And so
I'm sensing a little bit of a theme in your vacations, though. Education.
Oh, sure. Education. Yeah, to me, it's so important. I told him, I said, okay, let's see where we're gonna go this summer. So my wife said, let's go back to Washington D.C. And my grandboy said, let's go to Vegas, Papa. We would like to go to Vegas. We've been to Washington D.C., so I told my wife, let's go to Vegas because the boys are 26. If we want them to travel with us, we gotta have to go to the places that they want to go, or else they won't go.
Vegas probably does have some historical stuff that you could probably. I mean, that's a whole different part of the country. I was watching. They had a special on Richard Pryor last night on ABC, but they were talking about Vegas at a particular time in history, like back in the 60s, and just how different it was a totally different type of culture than anywhere else in the United States. And I bet they probably have a lot of cool stuff to learn about that.
I bet they have also.
Yes.
I bet they have. But that is something that we have done, is we've always tried to make our travels meaningful,
right?
In the sense that it's also educational and in fact. But I told you that my dad had never took a vacation,
right?
Okay, I will tell you. My wife and I was married 10 years before I took my first vacation. She convinced me. Dad had me convinced, but she convinced me after 10 years that people don't live that way. And I took my first one after we was married 10 years and had such a good time. And I thought, hey, this ain't bad. Yeah, she taught me something right there about how great it was to be able to take the time to go on vacation. And so, but that is a lot of times tough for you, because even during the summer you have certain obligations as an administrator. You got to get things ready for the next school year, right. Understanding that the next school year it gets here fast,
right.
And before you know it, it's time to go back,
right.
And that's probably the reason that I've accumulated the days that I have.
That's true.
Yeah, because it gets on you so quickly.
It does, right. And it's hard as an educator, like, to take time off because you're always having to catch up. Like, I just remember all my teacher friends would just be like, I can't take off because then if I do this, then they're going to be behind, and we have this coming up, and I got to make. And it was more stressful sometimes for them to just be off than it was to just So was it tricky for you or tough for you when you went from being like in the actual school building to being in the ad building?
And some people it may have been for them, but for me it was not, because when I came to the administration building, Mr. Tony Lawrence, Dr. Tony Lawrence, took my place at South Grand Prairie. And I wanted him to be the principal of South Grand Prairie. And so I did not set foot on that place for a year because I wanted the teachers. They loved me, I loved them, but I wanted them to understand that I was no longer the principal of South Grand Prairie. And so I wanted to allow him to have that opportunity.
I'm smiling because I was just thinking about this as you were talking. So we just started a South Grand Prairie Alumni Association. Why do we not have one already? I have no idea. But anyway, we just started this, and one of the first things somebody posted was Mr. Alexander's neighborhood.
That's amazing. That is.
So the video team did a video about you, and I guess you were a part of it. I just thought it was hilarious, and everybody's like, "I'm so excited about watching this."
To me, it was very important for them to be in their class on time. We used to have visitors to the school, and they tried to figure out how in the world could you get 2,500 students in class every day on time. And so I explained to them what the expectations were and how we delivered those expectations and how the students were able to live up to those expectations simply because we delivered them and they understood what the expectations were. So we had a great time. I would not trade that experience for nothing. I'll tell you. One of my favorite movies was Patton. Okay? And which you have to understand.
I've seen it a time or two.
You have, okay? There is a scene in Patton, and Patton is walking through the battlefield after a battle, and it's just scorched from gunfire and bombs and everything. And he looked up at the sky and he said, "Oh God, how I do love this." Okay? And so when I was at South Grand Prairie, I would walk the halls when everybody was gone, and I would look up at the ceiling and I would say, "Oh God, how I do love this."
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was that important and special to me.
Wow. Well, I think the students felt very well. They respected you a lot, and I could tell after all these years. I mean, that was one of the very first things that after all those graduating classes, we got 3,000 members within a weekend, and one of the very first things they posted was that video. So it was, you could tell that you left a legacy. People remembered you, and they respected your time there. And it's not easy when you've got a bunch of teenagers and you're the boss and you're the one trying to make them do stuff, for them to actually like you. And that's not easy. It's hard enough to get all the teachers to like you, but then to get the students, that's a whole other thing as an administrator.
And I think that once students understand that you have their best interests in mind and you are willing to do what you can to protect them, then they understand that. I tell you what, it used to break my heart when my kids would commit a criminal offense and then they would come to the campus to place my students under arrest. And that I had some students, they were excellent on campus and never got in trouble. and then they'd call us and say, I have a warrant for this student or this young lady, and that would break my little heart because they were not students that caused disruption, but for some reason they made a bad choice. Okay, out in the neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah, and that was something that that hurt because they always expected me to be there for them, and that was the one time when
you feel like you failed them somehow.
I couldn't help them because they had warrants for their arrest,
right.
and there's no way that any administrator can do anything if they have a warrant for arrest.
Right.
I never forget when it was a young lady, she'd never been in trouble. And you'd think, how could it happen? And they had about 3 warrants for her arrest. And I thought, you've never been in trouble. How did this happen? So those kind of things is the part that kind of breaks your heart when that happens. And certainly you want what's best for all of your kids, and you want to help them, and so you're available for them. And I think that is when they are willing to do what they can to help make the school environment a safe place to be. That's what I used to understand. It's amazing because my football boys would say to me, if you need help, just let me know. My basketball boys. And I say, no, they be ready to, don't do that. Kind
of like your little, your little helper.
Yeah. So, funny. But you respect them because they were willing to get in there and help you if there's a problem. I never forget, some outsiders got into South Grand Prairie, and we were chasing them down the hall. And some of the athletes said, do you need any help? Y'all need help? And before I could say no, they struck out after them. And you know where the service station is, right across from the tennis court.
Yes,
They caught them.
Used to be a stop and go.
Yes.
Yeah.
They caught them, made them stand at attention until we got there. Those outsiders promised me, if you let us go, we'll never show up to your school.
Oh my God.
I let them go, and they never came back. But my boys, my basketball and football boys, kept them in attention until we got there.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That is amazing.
Kids, yeah. That's their school. They understood it.
Right.
And they were going to protect it with me.
So that brings up a good point. So you've been in schools since the 70s. So you've seen a lot of decades pass.
Yes.
So how has education changed as far as have you seen, I know that's a really loaded question. You could probably talk about that, but the environment, the atmosphere, how have you seen it change over the years?
Okay. I guess you say a lot has changed.
Social media, all that stuff.
Right. Yeah. All of that has changed. I guess one of the things that I think about is the testing. Certainly there's a whole lot more testing than when we were there. And that my thought on testing, as a matter of fact, that's what my dissertation is on, high stakes testing. I have my thing is I don't have a problem with the testing because certainly I think that it does give us a sense of finding out how well students are doing.
Right.
Can you over-test? Certainly you can. But I don't think that we should do away with testing. It's just that we probably have too much testing.
Well, there's testing that serves your purposes, and then there's testing to start to serve its purposes.
That's correct.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, certainly we are concerned about the violence and certainly shootings at school event
I was going to bring this up because you were at Jackson. I remember when I was in the 4th grade at Zavala, so that had to have been 89, I bet. We had a shooting at Jackson.
I was the principal at the time.
Okay, I was going to ask you. I remember going back when people act like it's a new thing, and now that was out of the ordinary, but I remember that as a kid.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I was, the principal of the school at the time, and certainly had to evacuate the building.
Mm-hmm.
It was national news, CNN, and certainly sharpshooters were on the building, and they took up perimeters inside of the school. So it was a tense day at that particular time.
Nobody died.
No, nobody died.
Right.
Certainly.
You had no training for something like that.
No,
that really didn't happen. But the news at the time, we didn't have every single person recording every single thing. So, I don't know. I'm always curious about when I look back on history, like stuff like that. Did it happen and we just didn't know about it because we didn't have access to all the people video recording it, or has it really changed? You know what I'm saying? I don't know.
That certainly was an experience, okay?
Oh, I can only imagine.
It was. I must say, I certainly deal with issues that a lot of people have no knowledge of. Mm-hmm. Okay? But we took care of the issues and kept our kids safe. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And we were... and the kids certainly understood how to get the information to us so that we could do what was necessary. And we did it, and it just did not, I won't say, it was not as, the news was not as widespread as it is now.
Right. Well, you have to remember, my dad was a coach in the 70s. Mm-hmm. Coaching in the 70s is a lot different than coaching is now.
Sure.
And he will explain to me some of the differences, the things that you could get away with saying from a coach to a team member back then versus now.
Right.
And, so there's certainly things that were acceptable, things that just happen, but that's just how things transition over time,
It is. I'm in the process of trying to capture it with a book that I am working on.
Really?
Yes. It's going to. It's going to take some more time, but I were able to dedicate a lot of time to it during the Christmas break, the Thanksgiving break, and so. Certainly feel like that at the latest this summer, at the latest.
So can I ask what it's about?
It's about the whole experience, okay? Myself growing up in Dalworth, going through that whole process, and it is all about serving during the Vietnam War, and what happened and how we were received when we got back, how we were treated, and it covers all aspect of my life, and then it talks about significantly, because a lot of my life happens to be in the school business. So it covers a lot of things that have transpired during the course. All of that is going to be in the book. I
had no idea you had a book either. That is so not why we even set this up.
We're working on it.
I know, that's exciting. I wrote a book myself, so
you did?
Okay. It takes time.
Yes, it does. It certainly does. So anyway, all that we talked about, the shooting, everything else, is a part of it.
Right.
The Vietnam experience is certainly a part of it. My experience at Jarvis, it's everything.
Yeah.
So.
One of the things that I always ask and I have asked guests is, especially if you grew up in Grand Prairie, what you did as a kid. And one of the things that I realized, I was doing some work, I was doing some research for doing a little bitty mini Christmas episode about growing up in Grand Prairie. And I think one of the things that you don't realize is my experience growing up and certain other people's experiences growing up is going to be different than yours will be growing up in Dalworth.
Right.
And I saw ads for things that were Christmas events that they would say, everyone is invited, colored kids too. And it was, it just strikes you that you take it for granted that there was a lot of stuff going on in our city during a time when your Grand Prairie growing up experience would have been different than mine would have been.
Sure was.
So how did that shape you? What was growing up in Dalworth like when you were a kid?
Okay. Growing up in Dalworth probably was not a whole lot different from a lot of other places. Certainly, it was, I don't want to say, when segregation existed, in Dalworth you had your own community. Everything was almost accessible in Dalworth, almost accessible. We did like the other kids did, the black kids did like other kids did. We had our neighborhood and we went around in our neighborhood. We had our little store in our neighborhood, and we went to our football games on a Friday night, our basketball games, and I say everything happened almost inside of that. The only probably thing we did, we went to church in South Dallas because we were members of church in South Dallas.
Was Dalworth its own separate city until it was brought into Grand Prairie?
I don't know that Dalworth. I can't remember that it was a separate city.
Maybe in the very, very beginning. I think so.
Yeah.
But
I have. Well, I'll show you. I have. When I did my thesis, I have a history of the school system in a part of it. I'm sure it's not the only one because I pulled from books that had already been done on the history of Grand Prairie. And you know it probably, Deckman and all that, how it came about. But anyway, we had our star athletes, okay? Charlie Taylor, who's in the Hall of Fame.
I was going to mention him, yeah.
We had him. And he was surrounded by outstanding athletes. That's one of the amazing things, is you would not believe the 2A high school producing such outstanding athletes. We, the quarterback on the football team, when Charlie Taylor was there, was as good as Charlie Taylor was in football. He was just as good in basketball. We lost the state championship by 2 points in football and 2 points in basketball. His name was Ernest Turner. He just passed away a few years ago, but he probably, I don't know, and I'm gonna say this, and even I don't know that I have met a better player, a high school player, than Ernest Turner when I saw him in high school. And
you're right. Dalworth was mentioned a lot in the papers.
Yes.
Because they were always doing great things. Like I remember, it would just be constantly.
We would always be playing football in December because Charles, even my brother-in-law, I told you on the page, Randolph Reed was the head. He was the head football coach. Okay, when Charles and when I played, his son is Scooter Reed. We have the Reed Center out there. It was the cafeteria for our school when it was segregated. They made it into the Reed Center, and his son played for Baylor. Scooter Reed. We had an athlete by the name, what was his name? Anyway, he ran a 9,400, and Melvin Caraway, he was the fastest thing you ever seen. And so, but they were always there for playoffs, football, basketball, track.
Yeah, so y'all did have some great, and I was curious about that because I know that David Daniels was also, I know that he lived in Dalworth and he was also the principal at Dalworth.
Right.
And I know that he probably had a lot to do with just the community as a whole.
Sure.
So how old were you? So you had always gone to school away, like it was segregated as far as you were always in school during high school, correct?
That's correct.
Wow.
That's correct. I was, it was always segregated. And when we went to Jarvis had one white student, one, okay? All the rest of them were black.
Wow.
And our one white student, he fit in so well. he was just like the rest of us. And we enjoyed, I have pictures of him in my scrapbook. Mm. We were just like other schools, okay, during the time. During the 60s is when there was wide protests, okay? It's when Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, the civil rights movement, all of it came to fruition during the time that I was a student. Okay, and so being a part of that, I was my desire was to go to work for Dr. King. SCLC was the name of Southern Leadership Conference. Wow. That was my desire, but he was assassinated my junior year in college, and and I never will forget that because it certainly was a great deal of uprising. Followed by a great deal of violence after the assassination of Dr. King.
But you were just so sad.
It was a tremendous sadness for us all to realize that he had been assassinated. We had I'm going to say, when John Fitzgerald Kennedy was assassinated,
right, then
certainly the African American community felt a sense of loss for John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
Junior in high school, you would have been in high school when that happened.
Yeah, I was in high school when that happened. Yes, I was in high school.
When you think about all the stuff that happened within a very short period of time in the United States,
it was a turbulent times,
right? And
being a part of that. Certainly gave me a great deal of insight. Okay, it gave me a great deal of insight.
Did Grand Prairie? Do you feel like how did it feel in Grand Prairie at that time? Was it as turbulent as other places were?
No. Grand Prairie was not turbulent because Mr. Daniels was the key man in Dalworth, and so nobody was not going to step out of line because whatever Mr. Daniels said is how things was going to roll. But by that time, I had graduated from high school because I graduated in '64, and so the time I'm going to say from '64 to '68 it was. The civil rights movement had started in the 50s, but the turbulent times probably was during the 60s, and that's when the sit-ins, the demonstration, the protests. That's when what was it? Stokely Carmichael, the Black Panther Party. All of those. SNCC, all of those different organizations emerged in the 60s during Dr. King's era. And that is when the tremendous violence began to happen during that period. The sit-ins and the demonstrations took part during that period.
Just felt like from reading through it, and I wasn't there, but from reading through it, that Grand Prairie seemed a little bit more insulated than other places were. I don't know.
Grand Prairie, I think I'm going to say this, certainly the progressive movement was more like, I think it was more of larger cities and not small ones like Grand Prairie.
Right.
Okay? Because the leadership was of the young civil rights people. They were not in this conservative cities like Grand Prairie. Okay? They were Oakland, California, okay, Atlanta, Georgia. The bigger cities attracted the younger people, and Martin Luther King was in Atlanta, and so you had that movement in Atlanta. The Black Panther Party was in Oakland, California, and so you had that movement. So a lot of things that we drew from, I'm talking about at the college level, we drew from watching what was going on at UCLA, DC, and Atlanta U. The NAACP was still big, but the NAACP had been led by, and I'm going to tell you, it had been led by William Burkhardt Du Bois, and Du Bois had, I don't know if you know this, denounced his citizenship and left the United States.
I did not know that.
Yeah, he died. He died outside the country because he didn't feel like that enough progress was happening, and Dr. King emerged as the leader among African Americans when Du Bois had left, because Du Bois had been with the NAACP so long and was considered probably the stronghold of the organization, black organizations, prior to Dr. King.
Wow. Wow. And to think it was only just like 60 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not that far. That's not that long ago.
No, it's not that long ago.
But I could talk to you about this for forever.
Okay,
but maybe we'll need to talk again when your book comes out.
Okay, we can do that.
Yeah. Well, so you have to go to Chief Dye's thing, but I just wanted to say thank you so much for sitting down with me. It was an honor. Really.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes, thank you.
And I want you to tell your family, I said, we love them and tell them to take care of.
I certainly
and I can
will.
see you look like the family.
Oh, thank you.